everybody out there in Facebook world, TikTok land, all of that goody good stuff. Looky there. Mr. Roy Joe, Twinkle Toes, Sparkle Butt, Bradley, Twilight, Lover Jr. is in the house bright and early this morning. Is he going to last the whole show? We'll find out. Yes, got the V8 energy drink going on this morning. Mr. Casey's in the house. The usual regulars are showing up. I love it. Welcome to the show, y'all. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. We appreciate you being here. Starting to show the love, the likes, the shares, the follows, all of that goody good stuff that's happening in the world. So today we're talking about what's it like, and what does that mean? And we'll get into that in just a moment. But right now, good morning, everybody. We're going to talk t-shirts. Instead of doing the old boring stuff like this, you get to see the shirts on the people, on the person. This is Howard the Duck right here. Everybody thinks it's like Daffy Duck or Donald Duck or anything like that. No, this is Howard the Duck right here. From back in the day. He's an angsty, angry little duck that was created, I think, after the likes of like Ditko or Kirby by Mr. Stan Lee, one of the creators. I'm pretty sure he created Howard the Duck. But instead of using the old boring stuff like flipping through all of these pages of stuff, we're going to show them to you on the actual shirts. So right here, you got Dexter on the shirt. Yes, it comes in colors. You can put any of these on any color shirt. Because everything I've got over here, except for Wonder Woman, is on a black shirt. But, as you can see, they can come in colors. It comes in pints. I didn't know it came in pints. If you know, you know. Alright, so there's that one. Then we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in Hunter Green. Right here. So yes, this is on a dark green shirt. And then you also have it on the black shirt. So the black and green. The green looks really cool with it as well. And then we've got two different crows going on here in the house. You got the yellow one, which brings out the highlights in the actual drawing itself. Right there. Or you can get it on whatever color you want. Like black. It still brings out the highlights in the shirt. Then you got Terrifier. I didn't bring the girlfriends, but she's got a red one of Terrifier, of Art the Clown here from Terrifier. So hers is on a red shirt. Mine's on a black shirt. And then you've got a fan favorite going on right now. The Chester Bennington piece right here. The T-shirt of Chester Bennington right there. And then I had this one on the show the other day, the American Horror, based off the American Gothic shirt or painting from the 1930s. Right there. And then we've got another fan favorite. People are starting to order this one, the Naughty Nun, the Bad Habit series. Right there. People are loving it. And then, of course, the number one top seller that just came in again yesterday is the Joker shirt. Right there. Now, we've got more of shirts that aren't in shirt form. Now, the girlfriend does have this shirt, and she's been wearing it. She wore it actually yesterday. The other Joker shirt. Right there. And then I'm going to flip through some of these because we've already gone over some of these. One that isn't in the collection, but it was the mother and, to the girlfriend has this at home. We got this for her. It is the Ivan Moody of Five Finger Death Punch. Based off of her own painting that she's got. Now she gets to wear it around. We just saw that one. We just saw that one. Well, I'm wearing this one, the Howard the Duck, on a white shirt. You just saw the Dexter. We just saw Art the Clown. We just saw the Crow. Wonder Woman right here. I'm actually getting ready to order another one of these because this one's becoming a fan favorite as well. Right there. And then, of course, we just saw that one in live time. So there's only, out of this collection, not in this room, there are one, two, what did I show? Three shirts that aren't in here right now. Yeah. So out of this collection in my hand that I've been showing you on a regular basis, there are only three shirts that aren't in physical form right here. The Glasgow Smile is what that is called. I Googled the wound on mouth history. Oh, okay, cool. On the Joker, I'm assuming Casey is what you're talking about, where he asked, "You want to know how I got this smile, or how I got these scars? You want to know how I got these scars?" And I'm not. I'm assuming that's how they got it from back in the day, whenever they created the Joker um, original originality. Whenever he started out as the Red Hood, um, before he became the Joker. But yeah, that's a lot of shirts right here. Dun, dun, dun. And before long, I'm getting ready to add about, what did I say, 7 more, 8 more. Let's do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm getting ready to add 14 more shirts to this list that I've already got here. So that's pretty cool. Um, don't forget to like, share, and follow if you aren't doing so already. And thanks for those who are sticking around, making this a great show, talking about bantering back and forth. All right, so for those of you that weren't here uh, a day ago, not yesterday, but the day before, this is one of my new finds. Right here. I'm into the creepier, you know, gesture dolls, clown dolls, and things like that. You know, just like, where is he? The creepy clown stuff. You know, Art the Clown, blood splatter, all that good stuff. But yeah, the creepier the better, as if I can find it. If it's haunted, even better. Just like the gesture doll, Diego, that's in the library right now. And so here you have, what she named him, Jungo, the gesture clown, basically. He's not as creepy as I really like, but he's still kind of creepy if you actually look at him. All that good stuff. And then of course the creepy German made bit porcelain bisque doll head that doesn't have any eyes or any hair or anything like that. But it was made in Germany. I added a light to it. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to add it on here on TikTok as well. But it looks really cool in the dark um, with that light flickering in there. It's like a one of those flickering candle lights, so it's kind of cool. Uh, did a little video on a 10-second video, and it looks really good. And the creepier the better if I can find them. And like I said, if it's haunted, that's a double plus because the house is already haunted. So what's one more haunted item coming into the house, right? So I'm doing artwork on a regular basis, and I do these shows right here every other day. And so I got Mr. Roy, who's acting like a duck, quack quack over there. I think he's been hitting the hooch a little too hard this morning already, and but that's okay. Somebody's got to have a hobby. And so I just finished penciling this piece. The inking is going to come next, and then the coloring will come next after that. This is an amalgam of two different characters from the God of War video game series, the Dreki and the Wolver. And then I'm working on another piece. It's another mashup piece between Kingdom Hearts, another popular video game, and Blade Runner, a very popular movie from back in the day in the, what was that, late 70s when that came out with Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, and all those Daryl Hannah, and all that good people from back in the day. And so like the main character from Kingdom Hearts, so it's not possibly not the main character since they have a lot of different characters in there. What is his name? Sora from Kingdom Hearts is going to be fighting the replicates from uh, just be you, man. That's all you can be. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to impress. Uh, if you're trying to pick up ladies, just be you. If they don't like you, so be it. You know, I don't know what you're going after, what your type is, or anything like that. But just be you. Be true. Be real. In this piece, it's a split riff. I'm doing it diagonal to the page because it's going to be, you know, horizontal or vertical anyway, and no horizon line or horizontal. And Rick Deckard's going to be fighting the heartless creatures from Kingdom Hearts, and Sora's going to be fighting the replicants from Blade Runner. So it's going to be kind of cool how I'm working it in there. And then I'll be working on a big 18 by 24 inch piece, as well as a pet picture that I'll be working on here. Be working off of this picture right here. Yes, he had his own wheelchair, so there you go. He passed away some time ago, and the owner wants a memorial piece that they can put on the tombstone right there. So, all right, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Well, I hope so, because you don't want to try and be something you're not. And today's title of the show is "What's It Like," and that refers to what's it like to always be right. You know, some people can never admit their faults, their wrongs, and so they have to go through life living it like they are correct the whole time. I know a little bit about a lot of stuff, you know, and yes, I only draw right-handed. And yet again, another person calling me Danny Bonaducci. But thanks. I wish I had his money on a regular basis. But you know, it's stuff that I've heard my entire life. But it's all good. You can call me whatever you want. He has no money. Well, you don't know that. How do you know he doesn't have money? He's going on tours and stuff all the time. He's at even some comic book conventions. So he's making money. Some people live like they don't have money. And that doesn't mean they don't have money, you know? So, there you go. He's incapacitated. Well, I don't follow his career like a lot of people do, apparently. So, I live my own life by my own rules. That's why I do my own illustrations. I homestead, and I'm a disabled veteran. So, there you go. Danny Bonaducci, I don't know his full history and all that good stuff, especially what he's doing now. And we look nothing alike. So, everybody that stops in my show and is like, "Oh, it's Danny Bonaducci. Oh my God, I can't believe it." Well, you're wrong, but this is what the title of today's show is about: is always what it's like to always be right. You know, so I don't know that feeling. Like I said, I know a little bit about a lot of subjects. I don't know everything about every subject, and it's those people like my ex-wife, let's take her for example. She always had to be right. If she wasn't right, she would throw a fit, and it was never a good look out there. You know, and but you get so many people out in the world today that have to be right no matter what. You know, and they will argue till they're blue in the face that their opinion, that their side is the only right side. That if you're going against them, that you're wrong, 100%. You know, and it always makes me wonder, how do you sleep at night? You know, thinking that your opinion is the only one that matters out there in the world. You know, me, I still sleep like a baby. It doesn't matter. Because I know I'm wrong. Not all the time, but I get things wrong. And when I do, I come back and apologize for the wrongness that I've done in saying something wrong or having misinformation because I didn't do my due diligence in research or researching the whole subject, you know. And we're up to 10,000 likes already. Much appreciated, everybody. Between Roy and Casey out there, much appreciated on the likes, the love coming in. So, if you have to be right all the time, please tell us your opinion on that. What's it like to have to be right all the time? Inquiring minds want to know. Because, it's like Mr. Bum Bum Bum. Oh, we gotta love these, right? Mr. Bob Ross, always having happy little accidents. His paintings weren't always right or correct, but he always had happy little accidents. Oh, we're gonna touch this up with a happy little accident right there. We had a happy little accident, but we can make this into whatever, you know. And so he wasn't always right. No, I was. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. But he would fix those mistakes, with his happy little accidents. And actually, we'll just stick him right here in front of the keyboard so you guys can see his little bobblehead going on right there. And if his bobblehead bobbles, something's happening because this is a solid desk and I can bounce on the floor and nothing happens. His head doesn't bobble. So if he bobbles, then we got a ghost situation going on here. Okay. I know you guys up here in Facebook and YouTube aren't going to be able to see Mr. Bob Ross down here, but the guys down here on TikTok can. So, those of you that are still here watching the show, do you have to be right all the time? Does it hurt you to not be right? Because me, I don't have to be right all the time. And so it doesn't bother me if what I say isn't correct 100%. I will, like I said, go back, do my research, do my due diligence on a subject matter if I don't know it all. And do we really like know it alls? That's the other thing. People that know everything about everything. Like I said, I know a little about a lot. I don't know everything about everything. Even a lot of the books that I have in my library, I haven't even touched, so I don't even know what they're about. You know, but it's like the Rogue Angel series that I've got by Alex Archer, Axler. I can't remember what his last name is, but it's a great little series. I've read the first like 5 books in the series, or the books that I have. Whoops, I don't have all of the books in the series yet, but I will one of these days. And basically, it's about a descendant of Joan of Arc who gets this sword from a different realm, you know. And it's a really cool read. She's an archaeologist, basically, kind of like a Lord Croft type of situation. And, she goes on these whirlwind adventures, and then, she has to rely on this power that she's got. If I didn't read any of the series, I wouldn't know anything about the book other than what the description moniker was out there, like on the book cover or what it tells you about on the website. But I've read the first X amount of books, and I've got a bookmark in one right now that where I stopped reading, and it's been probably 3 4 years since I've actually picked up the book and started reading again. So, and that's something that we should do. We should be into reading on a regular basis, you know, instead of I got my video game here. All those good things. And a lot of people don't read anymore, which kind of surprised me that they're still selling books. Especially since everything's on Kindle or on your iPhone or your Android device or you're on your computer, or it can be read to you, you know. And it's like, why are they even still making books? Because people still like to read. People still like to have that physical copy of a book, just like a comic book. I still like the feel of a comic book in my hands. Yes, this is my painted cover for the job number 3, the variant, which it says right here, variant. I still like to have this physical copy in hand to read, especially if it's an older comic book. It's got that smell to it. It's just like walking into a bookstore. You get that musty, old smell of books, especially if they've got the antique books, from the 1800s, to early 1990, somewhere in that range. There's just a certain smell. It's just like when you walk into a comic book store. There's a certain smell to comic books. Now you get the fresh ink from the new prints, but it's that older book from the 60s and 70s and 80s that you know it just has that distinctive smell that you love whenever you get into a bookstore or a comic book store. And that's why they still make books, is because of, well, Ricky's got some coffee in hand, it looks like. I've got my V8 energy drink. Not a Monster, not a Red Bull. Natural energy from vegetables and fruits. I mean, I'm sure there's some other added chemicals in here too, but there's my caffeine for the day. So, with all of that, are you ever wrong about a subject? I'll do what I want on my damn show. So, are you ever wrong about a subject? And if you are wrong about a subject, do you ever go back and apologize to the people that you were telling wrong information to? Because it's just like whenever I draw something, I know I don't know much about much, obviously. I mean, some people can't admit when they're wrong, 100%. Um, that's what, again, today's title is about, what it's like to always be right, you know, because there's people that can't admit their wrongs. No matter how horrible of the information that they're spreading, they're still right in their own eyes. And they can never be wrong about a subject, you know. Here we go. Here we go. So, I'm wrong in my condition as human is sin, they say, but I'm wrong often. Okay. So you're wrong often. How do you try and correct that? These are the questions that people want to know. How do we try and correct some certain things that we're wrong on? And again, somebody's saying something derogatory out there because it's been filtered by TikTok. Okay. Accepted fact that I'll never be right on all. I'm not. Does that say it at the end? It's on a white on white. Okay. Be willing to listen to what others have to say. Um, white on white sucks, folks. The construction criticism is at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all have to take constructive criticisms on no matter what. You know, if I didn't listen to, I think that was me this time. Sorry. Yeah, because even as artists out there, um, we have to take criticisms. You know, from everybody, and it's not just, and it's people from the industry as well that are actually working for Marvel or DC or those type of people. You know, and cool, Ricky, we love you too. And so I've had to take criticism. I drew a Batman Who Laughs a while back. It's probably been about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago that I drew one. And, I put it out there as my first rough draft of it. And, well, you go cook. You get yourself some foods. And the head was too small. And somebody pointed that out. And it was like, you're correct. The head was too small on the actual Batman Who Laughs piece that I did. So I recorrected it. I took the criticism that I had and that was given to me on the piece, and I redid it. I took the head, made it bigger, and boom, it looked awesome after that. You know. And then you get people like Ricky on here who have to always be right, and that's what today's title is about. You know, he's always wanting to be right about other people's show because he can't do his own show. He has to go on other people's show and try to belittle everything that they do, which doesn't affect me at all. I will continue to talk about everything that we do here. And, I work hand in hand with people that work for Marvel and DC and licensed products that I work on. And every artist out there, works on some of these characters, even though if they're not in the industry for Marvel, DC, Image Comics, or things of that nature. So, the guy right there. No, I've only got two microphones. Thank you very much, buddy. This one goes to TikTok. This one goes to my recording that's happening right now. Yes, we know that you love the Oklahoma City Thunder, Roy. It's all good. And the lacquers and the pacifiers are your other little. I can't say the word here that you love uh, on that aspect over there. So, you know. So there you go, Mr. Roy Joe. Twinkle Toes, Sparkle Butt, Twilight Lover, Bradley Jr. right there. But, and then you still get Ricky who sticks around to try to belittle the show on a regular basis, you know. And again, since he can't have his own show to put his platform out there because he doesn't have the followers or whatever, he has to go to other people's show and try to disrupt their entire broadcast, which isn't going to work. So, and if he keeps it up, he will find himself blocked 100%. And then we can go on with our lives, you know, because we don't have to be right like somebody does who keeps talking on my broadcast. So, again, what's it like to be right all the time? And over here, obviously everything he says is right. You know, he can't admit wrongs. And so that's why he keeps coming over here, And how do you have a show where there's nothing said? Wow. Okay, Ricky, we're done with your ass. Okay? Ricky is going bye bye. And there you go. That should have him gone. And and there you go. I'm sure he'll come back in another form, but you know, his ass just got blocked because he's one of those ones that can't create his own show because he doesn't have enough followers out there, you know. And I'm sure he'll have his little minions come in and try to do some disrupting out there as well. So, but we don't play that game. He's not the first person to get blocked on the show. So, and he won't be the last, I'm sure. But, he's this isn't the first time he's popped up on the show that I've let him talk his spiel out there. And, it's just like everybody has their opinions, about artists and their works, you know. But if we haven't got a cease and desist letter, not anymore. Um, we as artists draw what we see, you know. And just like once I get my own comic book out there, it's going to be my own original characters. It's going to be all my original artwork, all my original writings, those type things. And on that token, there won't be any intellectual properties out there. So, and so Jack is going to go bye bye as well because apparently he's part of the Ricky Bobby Club. And there you go. Jack is gone as well. All these little disruptors who can't create their own show because they don't have the followers out there. It's kind of quite humorous and funny. So, there you go. And if another one pops up, we'll take him out too. So, there you go. We create things that people love, artworks and things like that. And that's why people continue to come to us for stuff, even if it is their own original idea. Just like I had the guy come to me for the kids' book, you know, and all original works from his mind that I drew up are now on a kid's book, you know. And then I've got my cousin who we haven't talked in a while, but he's got his own original ideas that they are coming in and we're going to be creating another kid's book out of his original ideas, you know? And so from there, with all of the original ideas coming in, there will be all kinds of cool new stuff happening. So, on that token, we as a business create all kinds of cool stuff. It's just like the amalgam here, all original, right here, pieces of artwork that have nothing to do with other entities out there. And so from there, it is all about keeping things flowing in a natural order of things. And we don't always have to be right around here, you know? And I find it hilarious that so many people have so many different TikTok channels out there that they can just bounce from one to another and still try to disrupt shows, you know? It's quite humorous. because obviously they've been blocked by many people before. So, we're on number 3 so far. And I don't care. Yes, I moved him. So his head bobbled. So there's no ghost activity happening right now. So, but thanks for the likes, the shares, the follows. We're up to 24,000 likes already. And that's awesome. That helps the algorithm out there propel us up into a top slot, you know. And for small creators like myself who have a measly little following out there, and we only certain people come in and talk, on the show, which is cool. But yeah, so pretty soon there's going to be a lot more original artworks happening. They're already in the works. Um, and it is all about just letting the artwork flow and letting it continue to go out there to the masses. Um, and and on that token, it's like, if Marvel, DC, Image Comics had issues with all of us artists who are using their works, on our side, they would be sending everybody a cease and desist letter on a regular basis. And they don't, because they know we don't make enough to hurt their per capita on a regular basis. And on that note, that's why we keep doing what we're doing, and it's not just me, you know, and all these people coming on my show and trying to attack me over the intellectual properties. Yes, I know they are not my properties, you know, but Marvel, DC, Image don't care enough to come on my broadcast and be like, hey, we're going to cease and desist you, those type things. And like I said, it's not just me; it's a lot of other people out there as well. So, but it's all good. We take these kind of criticisms on a regular basis, these attacks and jabs at us on a regular basis. And again, it's not just me. I hear it from all kinds of other people out there as well, you know, and all the comic forums that I'm in, as far as artist comic forums and things like that. We hear it on a regular basis from the masses that, you know, uh, are like the 3 that have already been blocked on today's broadcast, you know. And again, don't care. Get them blocked. Keep coming. You'll get blocked again. Excuse me. And then pretty soon, once I carve that name out there for myself, you know, with my original artworks on my intellectual properties, so that is the stuff that we're really trying to get down to the nitty gritty on. Just because it's much more fun to work on your own stuff than it is to work on other people's stuff. You know, yes, I chased the dream for a while of being on comic covers until the colorist who did my Psycho Sal #3 cover variant cover for William Russell's Psycho Sal. He said, had he chased his own dreams in the beginning, it would have been a lot better for him. Even though he's working in the industry of Marvel, DC, Image Comics, independent stuff, on a regular basis. And him and his brother's studio, the Kemp Studios, um, he said, don't really chase those out there because they're going to be there for a long time. And yeah, you can get on many, many covers of different comics out there, but chase your own works because that's where the proof is in the pudding, if you will. You know, he said, chase your own dreams when it comes to your own work. He goes, because like I said, he told me that if he would have done that from the beginning, it would have been a game changer for him. You know, and possibly for his brother too. And so, I took that to advice because yeah, I was chasing, I was hitting up publisher after publisher after publisher, especially those that I knew were doing variant covers for different books, and I wasn't getting a lot of feedback from them, you know. And so right now, I'm happy with my two covers on professional comic books out there, but that's why I am going in my own direction when it comes to doing my own intellectual properties, you know, not based off of anybody out there in the world or off of any other comic book character around, you know. And that's what I'm really looking forward to is getting that up and running. Plus, I'm in the process of, I've got another work out there coming on with a movie producer who creates movies. Him and I are working on a comic book together, a horror western. You know, neither one of us has worked on it as much as we want to because we're busy with other things right now. But once I get these knocked out and get the Aussie painting knocked out, you and then start working on my own covers for my books, it's going to be a lot cooler. You know, I can leave the other characters out of everything. I don't have to rely on those to draw people in, and that's what we're looking forward to. You know, is getting our own comic book up and running because it is a cool little thing when it comes down to it. You know, and that's what you strive for. It's just like any creator out there, cosplayer or um, comic artist or writer or whatever, is to get their own works out there. Not writing for another company, not cosplaying other people's properties, but cosplaying their own ideas, you know, and drawing their own stuff. Now, if you're one of the lucky ones that gets hired by Marvel or DC or Image Comics, then that's cool too because then you can work on your own property, but you're most likely going to be working on a mainstream character out there as it stands, you know. And that's a cool thing too. I always look at Brian Denham, who I met back in '94 at the Dallas Fantasy Fair, 1994, probably before most of you were alive that were watching the show. And he got snagged up by Image Comics right off the bat with promises of grandeur because he had his character, My Name is Mud, that he was working on, had a comic book out, had stickers, all that good stuff. And once they hired him on, he ended up working on all these other characters for Image Comics. And he didn't get to work on his My Name is Mud. I never saw another issue of it come out ever, other than the first one he ever did. But in the Image Comics advertisement pages, there were promises of his book coming out as its own title, but I never saw it come to light ever. Um, Now he works at Antarctic Press as one of their editors in chief over there. Plus, he still draws for them. Plus, he has his own works happening out there as well. I picked up a few of his books here and there. And on that same token, I re met him in 2024, maybe 23, I can't remember. But I did take the Dallas Fantasy Fair uh, book that he was in that I got when I went to that show back in the '90s, and he re-signed it right there. you know, and he thought it was cool signing next to Gil Kane, on the front cover. Well, it had two front covers because one was the back side when you flipped it over, and the other side has the other side that was flipped over, and so you could read it two different directions, as you flip the book. And he thought it was really cool, so he re-signed the book right there next to um, Gil Kane, and we chit chatted for a while, and it was just cool to reconnect with somebody from that you met as a startup artist doing his own thing to where he is now, you know, and how far he's come, with his career in the industry. And it only takes that one person to find you, and be like, we want you. We want your work over here. We want you to help us, you know, become stronger. And they were already strong because they had Jim Lee, they had Todd McFarlane, they had Valentino, they had Silvestri, uh, Eric Larson. Uh, the list goes on and on. And then it even grew from there with more people coming in. Jolly with his Hellshot. You had David Finch coming in. You had Brett Booth, Marat Michaels, uh, Dan Fraga. I mean, the list went on and on. I mean, Rob Liefeld was one of the creators, the five creators that jumped ship, you know, and these guys jumped ship from Marvel and DC, you know, and were they right? They were right to do what they did because at that point in time, they were able to create something cool, create something new and fresh in the industry, and they were one of the first to break away from the Comics Code Authority, you which meant they could put cuss words and nudity in their books and things like that. Even though they didn't go that far with their books, they did do a lot of cussing in there. There was a lot of blood, gore, and violence that they couldn't do on the Marvel side at the time. But now everybody's gone away from the Marvel or from the Code Authority that was brought down. Um, Thanks to Frederick Wortham, who wrote Seduction of the Innocents, talking about how bad comic books were for kids back in the day, and that changed the face of the industry, you know. And they had to go under a comics code authority, and if it didn't pass muster, then it wasn't going to get produced. So, you know, but now all that's changed, and boom, you have what we are today in comic books, where you've got the risque covers, the nude covers, the blatant, sex in books and all that stuff. And it's just like you can find some cool stuff out there if you really look. And that's why you, as an independent artist, want to get your own works out there so that you can tell the story that you want to tell. Just like the guy that I'm working on the kids' book for. He's telling his life story from the side of, this Ori character. And he is telling his story of his boxing career, how it took off, how it went. And it's very cool. And then, like I said, my cousin, who I haven't talked to in a while, we reconnected, and he's got his own story to tell, and he's asking me to work up some things for his book that he's got going on. So we'll see where that goes. I haven't read the piece that he sent me yet, which I got just yesterday, I think. But I'm gonna pick it up and look at it. And because I think that's going to be some cool stuff. And then Jason Pitts out there, he and I working on a Western horror together, and that's going to be pretty cool. I'm not going to give any more information on that one because, again, you don't want people walking off with your intellectual properties, you know. And on the same token, my works, that's why I haven't put anything out on it per se, is because I've got lofty goals and dreams for it, you know. But I will be, once I get some more 3D prints of these items going out, be giving little hints out there of what my book is about, which I've already told everybody. It's about cryptids, witches, warlocks, supernatural, you know, folklore, you know, all that good stuff. And so, you know, it's all cool as it's breaking the fourth dimension, which Deadpool does a lot. And he's about the only character that you actually see break the fourth dimension, which means he's talking to you like I'm talking to you guys out there while the comic book is going on. So, you know, it's like one of those things where the story's going along and then boom, all of a sudden he's talking to you, the people watching, people reading the book. And it's not just going to be him; it's going to be other characters in the comic as well. So, you know, there's aspects that I am revealing to you, the viewing public, but it's not everything, you know. And so it is just little tidbits here and there. Because again, I don't want somebody walking off with my creation, if you will. And you know, I've seen it happen one too many times. On that note, and uh, with other creators, you know, they give their whole plot to their viewing audience who's reading it on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And then next thing they know, somebody else has already pulled it off, you know, and it's just like, wait a minute, that was my idea, you know. And it's like, well, no, it wasn't your idea because obviously I've got it in print first. And that's why I'm not even telling the title of my comic book right now. And not even telling you what the main character is about, you know, other than I've given you his name out there. And if you want to go find it, you can. It's out there to be found. And so those are what we really strive for, you know, is to create our own properties, create our own visions of things. And once we get that going and we get a good following on that, then we can revisit some of these characters and things that, sorry, I got an itch right there, that helped us get on the map, you know, from the Marvel, DC, Image Comics universe and things of that nature. And so, but as an ultimate goal, we as artists want to put our own works out there. You know, we don't want to continue to work on other people's stuff unless we've been hired by the industry to do so. And you know, I'm slowly moving away from all of that. It doesn't look like it because of the shirts that I'm producing from past works and things of that nature. Um, but you know, like Chester, original piece, original design based off of a human being, you know, that passed away. Just like my Ozzy Osbourne piece that I'm going to do. It's based off an actual person from Black Sabbath, from his own stuff, Ozzy Osbourne, obviously. And, you know, I'll be painting that up, you know, and putting it out there in the world. It has nothing to do with a comic book character or, you know, things of that nature. So, or a movie character or anything like that. So those are the ways you get around some things out there. But all in all, it's been a great career field to be in. Being your own boss, doing your own works, creating new masterpieces on a regular basis, and it's just fun to do all that stuff. And you don't always have to be right about it. Just like Bob Ross, make happy little accidents out there and just let it go and let it flow, you know. So there you go. Um, but yes, eventually, when all that's said and done, we'll also be making our own 3D prints of things, of our own characters, of our own, um, making our own action figures from our based off of our artworks, off of our characters that on several different lines of books. I mean, I could start doing it off of this Ori character too for him, and go that route for him on that, you know, and that would be cool for him because that would put action figures out there. They would be solid action figures for now until we got the articulation down, and then we could go from there. And that's the things we strive for, is to build our own creations and bring them to you, the public, in some form, fashion, or another. And once I get my 4-issue miniseries done, I am kind of hoping that someone likes it enough that they can turn it into a comic book, or not a comic book, but into a uh, animation. You know, do a cartoon out of it. Um, even if it's a limited series cartoon. You and those would be cool. That would be awesome. And it's that's the stuff you strive for, and it's your own character, so you can be right about it, no matter what. You know, and like I said, I know a little about a lot, and I don't have to always be right when it comes down to everything. And if I do say something wrong, I will come back and admit it. I will apologize for what I said, and reiterate. Okay, this is what should have been said. You know, and that's just part of life. You can't always be right. You know, and it's just like I put out a poll: shave the beard or keep it. Shave it all off or just keep it. Well, I kept it. I trimmed it down because it was really bushy. I looked like Grizzly Adams. Had hair down to here and out to here and all that good stuff. And so I decided to trim it up, get it all prim and proper, if you will, and go from there. So, because why? I hate shaving on a regular basis. I even hated shaving when I was in the military, at basic training, and then drill weekend, you know. And then once we went overseas, it really sucked when we were in Afghanistan, you know. And Casey says, I've listened to all the show. Eventful, lol. I have to go. I'll see you again, I hope. Of course you'll see me again. I mean, now granted, tomorrow's not promised to anybody. I could go, you know, tomorrow or whatever, or tonight or today or whatever. But I totally understand, Casey. You go do what you got to do. The show is almost over anyway. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left, and we'll be closing it off so I can get back to artwork. You know, original character stuff. You be safe too, and don't stub your toe out there. Take it easy, man. You have a great day, and but yeah, no, us as artists want to create. We want to create no matter what it is. We have visions in our head of even existing characters, like for Wolverine or the Joker or Batman or whatever. And we want to get those out there. And we hope to be noticed, by the industry. And it's just one of those things that if you don't, you don't. That's why I did a lot of licensed comic book uh, and intellectual property stuff out there, because I could create my vision out there, of these characters. And hopefully they were liked enough to be thrown into the card packs that got sold on the Walmart shelves or wherever you could buy the cards at, the card sets and boxes at. And that's what you hope to be as an artist, is to be noticed by even other artists, you know. And that's why I liked Gil Kane back there on the back wall. He was an awesome dude. He still is an awesome dude. He's still kicking it. But you know, it's one of those things that if you don't get noticed, you don't get noticed. But I've talked to many different artists who have stopped by my booth, and not just artists, but like colorists and um, movie stars and things of that nature that have stopped by the booth and complimented everything that's been done, out there. But that's it for me today, folks. You guys have a great day. And remember, you don't always have to be right. Just like today's title. What's it like to always be right? You don't always have to be right. You all have a great day. And as I like to say as I leave you, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.